Welcome to the H2Know podcast, where we take you beyond the headlines and into the heart of Hamilton Community Schools. From classroom innovation and career pathways to success stories and community connections, this is your inside look at what makes Hamilton shine. Here's your host, Zach Harry.
Hello, Hamilton community. Welcome back into the H2Know podcast, where we dive into the weeds of everything that parents and community members need to know around our district. Today, we are joined by none other than 2005 Hamilton High School graduate and high school principal, Mr. Mitch Bosch. We have confetti on the screen right now. That's the first time I've ever seen that. So there you go. We're learning something every episode. Yeah. We'll just roll with it. Principal Bosch, you are going to be talking about some high school academic pieces today, some offerings, diving into some advanced placement classes, some direct college credit, and just being very intentional about meeting students where they're at. So first thing, let's touch on how you think Hamilton High School prepares students for purpose, is the big saying around the district, and just kind of how we meet every student where they're at.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we try to do to meet every student where they're at is it starts in middle school by filling out Navients and EDPs, educational development plans, to help students start to get an idea of what is it that they want to do when they get older, when they leave high school. What do you want to do with your future? And so it stems from that into helping determine what classes do you want to take while you're moving through high school. So there's things that they go down trades, they go down colleges, they go down resumes, they go down different roads that help them identify what are just your next steps. So when you get into high school, there's the state requirements of here's the things you have to take. And then what I think Hamilton does really well is how do we fill in all of the other edges? There's a lot of traditional educational things that you're going to take algebra, you're going to take geometry, you're going to take English, but what are all the things that are around those edges that we use to help make sure that we're getting students to where they want to be in the future, and we're setting them up for that success of identifying that career early on?
Let's touch on Navients, because I've heard that a lot. Yeah. And I think parents, for the most part, understand what it is, but really explain what those type of programs do.
Yeah, so Navients is one of the programs that's through the state that houses that educational development plan. It's also what colleges use to transfer a student's transcripts, and how teachers have to give formal letters of recommendation. So as you start to get into the high school, you'll get a lot more communication around Navients. It's where we fill things out for classes, but it's also where if you're looking into colleges and other schools are starting to use that for post-secondary, that's where you get official. So it's not just you can show up with hey, here's my transcript, I'm applying for this job, or I'm bringing this to this college. They want it officially sent, not just certified mail anymore, but through Navients is the platform that a lot of things are being sent.
We do a lot with work-based learning.
Yep.
We do a lot, the Ignite. We just did a podcast on the Ignite program, which is brand new this year. We maybe don't do as well of a job, and by we, I mean probably talking about our advanced placement.
Sure.
And in some of our high-level offerings at Hamilton High School, and that's hopefully what this podcast will do. Advanced placement is huge at Hamilton High School.
You bet.
Give us kind of a general overview of all the different offerings. I know that's very hard to do.
You bet.
But how successful those AP classes have been.
Yeah, our AP classes, what we do each year is we try to find how many students are requesting AP classes. So every February is when we start to gather student requests. And our teachers go through a week of talking to students about what makes sense in your next steps. Where do you want to go? We talk about tech center. We talk about business development. We talk about physical science. We talk about, is it AP Chem? Is it AP Lit and Lang? If you don't know what AP is, it's advanced placement, which is through College Board. So those classes are especially helpful if it's students who just have a passion about an area. So my example was I went into elementary education, was a middle school science teacher. I took AP Calculus with Mr. Luckton many years ago. I did not need AP Calculus for my degree, but I loved math. And so it wasn't going to help me. It could have, but I didn't need it for my degree. But other students that are going into different courses, if they're going into journalism, if they're going into anything health medical, they're taking AP chemistry. So students taking that class, it prepares them for the test at the end of the class that then can allow them to either get college credit in a specific field or even just college credits to advance their placement. So you could get science credits on how you score. If you score above a 3 or a 4 or a 5 on the test is the top. Colleges look at those AP scores when you submit them, and then they determine, okay, so you did that well in this class. Here's what we're going to give you. Some colleges accept that, some colleges don't. And so that's why sometimes for students, it's either worth it or not. So you got to know what you're looking at and where you're hoping to go. That's where those EDPs come in really handy.
How would you evaluate what the course loads look like, generally speaking, for AP classes? I mean, these are pretty high level.
Yeah.
Would you say there's a lot of take-home work would really be best suited for AP?
Yeah, I think it's for students that are looking to challenge themselves first. It's one of those things where it helps give you a little bit more of a rigorous class. Your content is more geared around what does it look like if you move into college, but it doesn't have to be. So that's where we have students that will go to Tech Center, go to trades, that are looking at some of our other AP offerings because they want the class. They're just passionate. Like I said about calculus, with lit and lang, you might love the teacher, you might love the content. So it's really around students that are just looking to push themselves. Whether or not you take the test in the end is entirely up to the student. That's just how you get the credit for it. So I didn't take the test at the end because it wouldn't have helped. But our students that are looking to push themselves, it's really open to anyone that wants to have that additional either love of the course or pressure for them to have to perform a little bit higher, or just because that credit might help them in the future too.
We have a lot of direct college credit options
Yeah.
at Hamilton High School, and I think that might become overwhelming for some students. I know our counselors do a great job at explaining kind of the different offerings, but explain the difference between some direct college credit options and an AP class, which you can take an exam for and receive that credit.
So like Mr. Meisty's class, business development, is our class currently that has direct credit. So we have direct credit that can be offered through that course. We also have articulated credit that you can get through our HVAC program, through our business development classes. Those go through GRCC and through Davenport and through MCC. So articulated credit is where, hey, if you take our class, that college will recognize our courses. Direct credit, what Mr. Meisty does with business development, is where if you take his class, you actually get credit at Muskegon Community College for that, and then you can transcribe that to any other college. You get that as a direct credit. Articulated credit only counts at the college that we have that agreement with. So then it only is valid at Davenport. It's only valid at GRCC. When you talk about AP classes, it's really up to the colleges that see the test of if they're going to accept it. So you can go onto College Board's website and see what tests and colleges are willing to take. So if you're like, hey, I'm going to take AP Lit and Lang this year, or I'm just going to take AP Lang, pick an AP course, go to the college that you're looking at applying to and seeing if they will take your course. And then it's what score do you need to have on that class for you to get the credits that they offer. So like just the high school has AP Chemistry, we have AP Lit, AP Lang, AP US History, AP Modern World History, and AP Spanish. And I'm going to be forgetting one.
I was going to say you did a great job.
We have a few, and I try to balance that out with the number of students that want them, because the part that's helpful for me is when we have enough students that take the classes, I try to offer a morning and an afternoon section, because we have students that are in Tech Center, in co-op, that also want to take those classes. So by offering it in the morning and in the afternoon, then I'm getting accessibility to all of our students for whatever reason they want to have it. It doesn't just have to be for college. It can just be because I want to know more in this area. I'm going to be using this when I go to work. It opens up opportunities for more students to take it, more than just for the college credit.
Niche.com ranks Hamilton High School the number 17 magnet high school in Michigan. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty sweet.
U.S. World News Report, we're in the top 175, I believe, in the state. As far as just a lot of the AP pass rate, graduation rate, all these academic ratings. How proud are you of those numbers? And I know they don't tell the full story. But I think for a district, as much as we talk about, blue collar, getting into the trades and sending people into the workforce, there's a lot going on as far as sending kids to college and becoming really successful. That route as well.
And what I love about it is that you can do both. You can do both. Like, it is great to be able to go into a career in the trades. You can go into apprenticeship school, you can have an associate's, but knowing that you also can go to college if you want to is immensely helpful, because I think it just continues to open more doors for students in the ways that we can help bear some of the financial responsibility. Also, the responsibility of helping students be ready for those opportunities after high school is so important, because I like it when we can have students that can be successful. Great. You're going into the trades and you're going to do an amazing job. And you're also being prepared in that trade school by going to college for someday when your body starts to hurt and you're going to rely on your degree, and you can move up within that same field. It has no less value. And it just means that we've opened those doors. So by offering the experiences for students to go into AP courses after they've taken HVAC is one of the things that I love that we're able to do. So even in one of our last advisory board meetings, it was great because we were talking with GRCC. They have an HVAC program. So it's how do we help some of our students in HVAC dual enroll with GRCC because they're already getting credits. But we also have an articulation agreement where we can give those same credits to students like in Dan Meisty's class. So they might be working towards becoming a CPA. They might be working towards opening their own business because they're going to be taking over for grandpa, grandma, mom, dad. They're going to be taking over the family business someday. But you're getting applicable life skills that then you could be successful where you want to take that in the future, whether that's staying in your business or whether that is going to college to expand what you know about how to operate the business. You can do that in both ways.
We talk a lot about AP classes during today's episode, but it's not just you have to fit this criteria to get into the advanced placement classes. So how do you go from point A to point B and get into an AP class later in your high school career?
One of the things that I appreciate, especially as a high school, and I know all schools do this, like our elementaries in K through 4, in 5 through 8, and 9 through 12, we talk about vertical alignment. And it's, you can come in wherever you are. And I will say I'm a good example of this. Like when you start to become passionate about your learning, it changes for everybody. But our courses are set up. So our students coming in as ninth graders, even if it's like, I might have struggled as a ninth grader, you still have opportunities to get into those AP classes. Our classes line you up for being successful when you're ready to take them. So your ninth grade classes set you up for 10th grade. And in 10th grade is where we have our first AP class. But that doesn't mean your ninth grade English class or 10th grade English class are any less valuable. They're just all the things that build you up. So when you get to the classes you want to take that open more doors for you, you're ready for them. So I would say any student that is considering it, look into it. But don't forget, that still starts early. Everything builds on itself.
Dawn Safford, Holly Goodman, Gina Sneller, 3 outstanding counselors. I don't think you're going to find anybody better.
No, they do an amazing job.
Touch on their role as far as getting students lined up with what they want to do and explaining just all of these different, when you look at our course catalog on our Hamilton High School website, by the way, parents, you can find all the course descriptions and things like that on the Hamilton High School website. But when you look at all that, I mean, talk about overwhelming. How good of a job do they do explaining to parents and students alike just what maybe fits their needs and wants?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is when we start talking about programs, courses, classes, please reach out to your counselors. It's great to rely on students. I love to do that with my own kids too. Like, hey, make sure you talk to your teacher.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen. It's great when we get that communication from parents. And it's one of the things that I think makes Hamilton so successful in honoring where our students want to be, where our parents want to see our students be, working with our counselors. Because as you go, we have AP offerings in many different areas that articulate to different college credits. We have CDL, CNA, direct credit, articulated credit. We have a bunch of different pathways that support our students. Each of them is slightly unique in the prerequisites that you need to get into those classes, in the foundation you lay to be in them. So even students that are planning on going into co-op, going into tech center, we have to look at your credits and course loads starting in your sophomore and junior years. Freshman is great. Like you get really pigeonholed. We try to get a lot of things out of the way. But even then, if you know where you want to go, we can help. But the biggest thing is the conversations with the counselors about knowing where our students want to go. So they lead in with that conversation with some students, but I would say probably like many parents out there would know, yeah, it's going good. Like we can probe and prod as much as we want, but as soon as we get more information, and we just want to make sure we're not getting to their junior and senior years and going like, well, I said this when I was a freshman, I said this when I was a sophomore, and I'm going to flip the script a little bit here in my junior and senior years. We want to be ready for those conversations so we can help. We have students that in their senior year, all of a sudden, so we know like, all right, I'm looking at going into pharmaceutical. I'm going to be going for this. And all of a sudden it's like, no, I don't want to do that. In my senior year, I'm going to move into education. I'm going to move into manufacturing. I'm going to go into this different road. Well, then we might want to help get you a few more classes that are going to help you be successful with that too. Really, it's communication. Come and talk, ask questions. It's great to connect.
And I think the big thing you touched on there is the way that Hamilton gets kids out from grades 5 through 12 to experience different things. And they might find out what they want to do.
Yeah.
But they'll definitely find out what they don't want to do. Yep. Right. And that's the beauty of that. You touched on co-op.
Yeah.
Mitch, what's co-op?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah. So co-op is a great opportunity for students that can experience the world of work, but they still follow the Michigan hazardous occupations and work permit requirements. So students have time during their day. So the way the state has us, we have to schedule it is you can have up to 2 hours of your day is the way our high school does it. They have to be bookends of your day, first and sixth hour or 2 hours throughout your day that a student can go to work. Now, they don't have to work during those hours, but that's the time that's allotted in their schedule to say that students can work. So 10 hours a week is pretty typical for how students schedule it, but you can get still graduation credits. Like if you are working at a location, you're doing retail, you're at the food center, you're at McDonald's, you're doing something, you're working within the context of math, that can count towards your senior math experience. So it still counts towards graduation credit. It still counts your credits towards graduating fully from Hamilton, but it doesn't count towards like Algebra 1. It doesn't count towards geometry. It doesn't count towards Algebra 2. So it's really a time for students that I know I want to go into work and I already have a job where I want to go into. Here's how we can help get you there. And then some of the other pieces that'll just be small and change along the way is if you are 17, but you're not quite 18, you have a different set of rules because then all of a sudden you're an adult. And when you're 17, you still have to follow the work permit guidelines more so in hazardous occupations. But if you're in HVAC 2 with Tom Burton and he's your CTE teacher, then all of a sudden it looks different too because you're in HVAC 2 and your requirements for co-op HVAC, another class that we have, change because you're under his supervision and you've had so much training in that field. So there's lots of options.
In the way to get involved in co-op or if you have a job lined up, you go to your counselor, or how do parents and students go about that?
Yeah. So as soon as you think that might be an option that's best for you, there's a lot of opportunities. So even one that's coming up, just gentle plug here for our ninth grade families, is we have Job Shadow coming up. So Job Shadow coming up, students experiencing those careers ahead of time. And as soon as you know, like, hey, this is something I'm going to be in, I might want to be in. We talked earlier about like we have students that have been in, their family has a roofing company. They are doing these different things that like they're going to do in something adjacent to that, or they're working. You can still work in those things because that is valuable work experience and time for you to learn it. We just have to make sure that we can still get you your graduation requirements and have time to meet with your counselors to figure out how is that going to be planned out so you can still go and experience and grow in your work environment as well as finish your school environment.
It's the typical time of the H2Know podcast where we thank our 42 community sponsors in the Hawkeye Hometown series. Today, we want to spotlight Lampin Electric, Newcomer Plow and Hitch, and Farm Bureau Hop Agency. Thank you for your continued support of the Hawkeye Hometown Tailgate, Victory Day, Academic Basketball Community Night, and our Hawkeye Hometown 5K, as well as Unified Basketball, and right here, the new H2Know podcast, which we are excited to help dive into the weeds a little bit and bring this to our community and our parents and really hopefully help them understand kind of why we do things and how they can maybe help their student along the way. Mitch, we have these community sponsors that you just saw on your screen, and it's interesting because a lot of these sponsors are also doing unique things with our kids as far as co-op, job shadows. They're much more than just a community sponsor and a check to the district. What are some of these businesses doing for our kids?
Yeah, I think the biggest connection that we have from our school to our community is, one, the fantastic parents that we have, and two, comes from the companies, the people around us that own their own businesses and companies, and that our students support and work at, and they give that opportunity because companies don't have to take in the students that come from the high school. Companies, it's not like a student says, I want co-op and I'll go find me a job. A student comes in with their job placement, and then we help them facilitate what does that look like while you're working there. And so we have a ton of companies that have our kids with them. And that's the experiences that our kids need because, like you said earlier, it helps them know, is this something that I want to do in the future? Is this something that I don't want to do in the future? So that way they're being wise stewards of their money, of their time, of the education that they've had to know where do you want to go? And a lot of the companies that are on here have had or have our kids going through their walls. And it's a great place for them to be.
I know how proud you are of Hamilton. You graduated from here. You're from here. Your mother was a longtime educator here. You are now the principal. Why Hamilton for you? I mean, why did you make it such a big effort to come back? And why are you so dedicated to your job? What makes you, Mitch, in your role?
One of the dreams that I've always had was, since I was in education, I've always wanted to be back in Hamilton. I never thought the opportunity to be at the high school was one that would be available. So I'm eternally grateful for all that it took from a lot of people for me to be here. What makes Hamilton special to me is the amount of people that poured into me going through high school that I never knew all of the little things that it took to make life happen that it took for school to happen, the amount of teachers that were still here, the amount of family that has been here to walk me through it, the amount of non-family that has been here to support in things like Sunday school, rec teams, all the things along the way that just keep encouraging and pushing and helping. And I think that is very much a debt that I carry that I want to be able to pass on to anybody else that comes here. And so my goal is to try to make those offerings and opportunities available to as many people as I can.
That's
And
awesome.
we got a lot of people that carry that same weight on their shoulders and they walk it forward every day.
That's awesome. I love that. One last message to parents. What would
Yeah.
your plug be as far as all of the unique offerings we have at Hamilton High School, how they can learn about them,
Yeah.
and who to contact for what?
You bet. We have a lot of offerings and we offer more and more things all the day. And we try to be as flexible as we can. And how do we get as many of those things to our students as possible? We have lots of meetings where we talk with students about what they want to do. If you're hearing something that you think, that might be different, we love hearing from our parents when you're asking questions about like, hey, what does it look like to be in this class? How do I help get my kid into CNA? How do I get him into CDL? I know that we're looking at this college. What can you tell us about what we might need to be there? Doing research is always helpful, but for us to help, we need to know that that's where you want to go. And sometimes it's the kid knows right where they want to go,
Yeah.
and the parents know right where they want them to go too. So sometimes we can help be the middleman a little bit on navigating those waters.
Yes.
But communication is key. So please don't hesitate to reach out. There's a lot of opportunities that are out there, and we want to help with all of them. We just got to know more about what directions you want to go, and we can get you there.
Parents, community members, hopefully you're learning something about all of the unique offerings here in Hamilton. I mean, again, we talk a lot about work-based learning and Ignite and CDL and HVAC, and those are great things. But the AP classes, the direct college credit,
Yep.
the business development, all very outstanding offerings for your 9th through 12th grader here at Hamilton High School. Mr. Bosch, thank you for being on and shedding some light on that for our parents.
You got it. Thanks a lot for having me.
This is the H2Know podcast.